form the bathroom that I went through all my awkward high school years in at my parents' house, and they agreed. So I'm so pumped to bring to you the first transformation that's not in my home of this small bathroom that's in my parents. And on top of it, my dad, who's taught me everything, has taught me so much more after this makeover because of the stuff we ran into. Before we dive into the issues that we ran into, you see that this is already kind of reset, like the shower is nice and smooth and done, and that's because my dad and I are very similar, where we're in the middle of 5 million projects, and this happens to be one. And I thought this was going to be a weekend makeover with paint and tiling. It did not turn into that, but the first thing that I did do was go through all of the things that were in the vanity, in the cupboards, organize them for my mom by different baskets, just to make it easier for her to go through when she has the time versus throwing them in a bag and making her. So that's the first tip I have for you, is if you're doing someone else's space, make sure you organize everything that you're going through in a way that makes it easy for them to deal with. When I had everything organized and in the hallway, I even labeled it just to make it extremely easy for my parents, because I hate intruding on anybody's space. Like, I don't mind making over my own house because I can deal with my own mess. I moved on to patching the holes on the drywall, and that's when my dad realized that the drywall was rotting. Hold please. My dad let me finish up what I was doing, but when I went back home, because I don't live there, I started to receive these text messages with these pictures that made me cringe, because I did not want my dad to do a ton of work, but that we just couldn't avoid it. When you're a homeowner and you're making over a room, sure, you can ignore that the fact that your drywall is rotting, but you're going to have to replace that at some point. My parents decided to do that now before the makeover. That way it wasn't a wash after we did the makeover, because you're gonna have to replace the drywall. So you take everything off the wall and you just go through the whole thing again. So we kind of bit the bullet in this way, and well, I didn't, my dad definitely did, and he just powered through adding studs where there should be studs. There wasn't one to hang this heavy mirror that I wanted to hang. He re-drywalled everything, textured it, and had it ready for me to just dive in, paint, and move forward. For the vanity, we actually did basically the floating shelf tutorial, which I linked for you guys here. For the vanity, we wanted to make it a floating vanity. And so we attached the framing to the studs, and then we built the covers, not on it this time because we wanted to finish it in the garage and just make it look super clean and nice. But we're just gonna move on because I'll come back to this. I decided to paint the walls a white wool. My parents' house has a lot of peachy tones throughout it, and I kind of wanted to change their mind on brightening up their space, and now my mom wants to paint everything, so that was a win for me. I linked everything that we've used in this makeover down below for you, and moving on, after the paint, we needed to tile the shower, which I have never done, and I didn't realize how painful it was. I opted for these huge jumbo white tiles because I just feel like it's gonna make the room feel so much more luxurious, taller, just bigger, and oof, just better. First thing I learned with my dad is that you have to make sure that the walls are level before laying your tile.
So is it level?
Yes.
You don't be boring.
Let me see.
Level! What if I didn't have you talk at all during the video and it was only that?
Level!
This just reminded me of when I was a kid. I grew up in an orange cart at Home Depot with my dad. I was always his assistant for every project, but right here, he's like a math whiz and like calculated all of this stuff out, and it was just very confusing for me. I disagreed.
Just so you know that.
0.125.
So 9.67. So it's going to take almost 10 tiles to stack up.
What he's doing right here is just trying to find the middle, but also trying to find a way to make it so the top and the bottom tile, the top one that's hitting the ceiling and the bottom one that's hitting the floor, is the same width. Once we figured that out, actually once he figured that out, because again, I'm terrible at math, we started cutting down our pieces of tile on our tile saw and started this very tedious process, which I quickly realized was not my strength by any means. We mixed up our thin set, and then I quickly realized I had 1,000,001 questions. So right here, you're gonna kind of see me learning in real time because I was so confused.
So you literally just spread it. Oh.
Angle. This is too little.
Is it a 45?
That's not quite 45. I'd say like 30 degrees.
30 degrees, okay. When you put this tile, that doesn't matter?
No,
Okay.
we're going to keep going.
I see. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And does this come off pretty easy?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Against this,
Yeah.
it is, yeah. 2 spacers.
2 spacers right here. Oh.
Beat that rough side.
Facing you.
Okay.
My dad laid down the tiles that were touching the tub to ensure that everything is straight and level. And basically what I took away from this whole thing is you lay your thin set, you put your spacers down, you then place your tile, you put your spacers around the tile, and then you just take your level and push it up against it to ensure that it is level to the wall and to the rest of the tiles surrounding it. I tried to give this a go, but you guys, I absolutely hated it.
You can do this if you want.
Oh, okay, you don't have to flip it off.
Right.
I'm already a mess.
Yeah, that's not easy. Scrape it on there.
Side note for those of you that don't know me personally, I move at 1,000,000 miles per millisecond, and this is the first time I felt absolutely incapable and slow. I know practice makes perfect, but we just didn't have that time, so my dad agreed to take over, and I admitted my weakness.
It looks perfect on camera.
It does. People do this for a living.
Jam at it too.
God, I would never in my day in my life. So I'm like, okay, Dad, you can do the rest. I did too.
Ready?
Yeah,
I'm a jam.
Okay.
Okay. So you're gonna cut some for you.
I'll cut.
So far through this entire process, I've been really grateful to be working alongside my dad, but in this moment, I just felt like overwhelmingly grateful that he wanted to tile the shower and I could step back, because if I had to do that by myself, I think I would have had a mental breakdown and called him anyways. So it's cool that I could measure and cut and he could install. I got to my parents at 11:30 this day and didn't leave until 10:30. I was busy for the next 2 days with content for this channel on a separate campaign, so my dad just focused on the shower. When I came back, I was able to just focus on the details. I did this in my guest bathroom, and it makes the bathroom just look insanely tall. They're floor-to-ceiling shower curtains that you can no-sew together. So I bought 2 shower curtains, cut them in half, and no-sewed, 2 together long ways, so like one on top of the other, not side by side, and I let that dry. And then instead of the seam being there like that, I just made some tassels by wrapping some macrame cord around my fingers, tying it at the top, tying it around towards the top, and then cutting it to be even and placing those along the seam. I added 2 different types of rope and ribbon just to go over that entire seam so you don't see it. I would have, honestly, looking back on it, wanted to actually sew it so the curtains didn't like stick out straight so much, because I no-sewed that seam together, but I just am not talented in that area. Again, admitting my weaknesses and DIYing around them.
Introducing Green Dot Bank, the extreme value bank, home of the unlimited cashback bank account with one of the...
I headed back to my parents and started to add the larger details like the lighting fixture and the mirror, but you guys wanted me to walk you through how to install a light. You want to ensure that your power is completely off so you don't get electrocuted. You need to ensure it is completely off. Then you basically attach the black wire, which is the hot wire, to the black wire on the light fixture with the little cap that they provide, the white to the white on your light fixture, and then the copper around the green bolt and attaching it to the copper of the light fixture. And then you just put it onto the bracket, which has the screws coming out, and then you twist it on and secure it, and it is good to go. After I got the light fixture up and installed, I started adding random details to the walls just for my sanity, just to see it all come together, because it's been such a blank canvas for such a long time during this process. Again, I've linked everything down below for you guys, and there is also a Home Depot blog post that goes alongside this if you want to dive in a little bit more into the details over there. I started to notice how neutral this bathroom was, so I wanted to tie in black basically throughout it to kind of ground it, in my opinion. Again, I am not an interior decorating professional, but that's just how like my eyes and my mind work when we are doing a makeover. So all the hardware you're going to see that I'm installing are this rubbed bronze black. As far as the mirror in this bathroom, I wanted to switch it up completely from what my parents typically have in their house, and I decided on this round circle that I actually have in my office. Once I hung it up, I quickly realized that we needed to reconfigure where the light fixture was, because it was not centered to the mirror and it just looked a little bit funky.
We had to hang the mirror a little bit askew, which means that this light fixture has to scoot over because it's not centered, and I need it to actually scoot up and over, so I'm gonna wait to talk to my dad. But I want to keep it real with you. I want to show you the oopsies along the way, and this was definitely one of them that I didn't properly plan for. That was my bad. My dad asked me literally a million times. I was like, no, right there's perfect. Like, ugh.
While I ran to Home Depot to pick up a couple more things to finish this makeover, my dad scooted over the light fixture exactly where I wanted it to. I wasn't able to film it, but I am grateful that he did it. Above the toilet, I decided to just pick up some brackets from Home Depot and hang them to do DIY shelving that I've shown you here on this channel before. I will link it for you. This automatically just adds height again to your bathroom, and you can put your necessities on these shelves versus taking up space around the sink or in the shelving that you don't want to use underneath the sink. I cover up the screws with some flat black paint, let that dry, and then decorate to my heart's content. My dad and I decided to build the cover and stain and finish it in our garage versus in the house, since both of my parents are really sensitive to smells and it just doesn't make them feel good, and their bedroom is right next to this bathroom. So we put it all together outside versus on top of the frame like you'll see in my laundry room video, but that is all linked for you guys to walk through in depth. I stained it in an American walnut, and then I finished it throughout multiple days with a coat of tunge oil, sorry if I said that wrong, which ensures it to be completely weatherproof and water resistant and that it won't get damaged. But again, that is such a strong smell, I needed to do it outside of the bathroom first. We slipped that cover onto the framing and found the center point for the faucet and the center point for the drain of the vessel sink that we are installing. My dad taught me that by tapping in a nail where we want to insert the drill bit will just guide it a little bit better and make it a little bit more easy to just get started. And then my dad took over because I really couldn't get through this thick plywood for whatever reason. We had to drill a larger hole for the drain. My dad drilled through a piece of scrap plywood to give us a starting point and just like a guide so it didn't wreck any of the wood that we just finished for the vanity. We added some liquid cement, really insane construction adhesive, and then we secured that top vanity piece to the frame. We set the vessel sink exactly where we wanted to, installed the drain, and then we did the same thing with the vessel faucet. Like I've said before, everything is linked down below for you guys, so if you want to know what I am using, it is all down below. Oh my gosh, you guys, now for the fun part, just adding all the final little details like faux florals and hand soaps and lotions and bath salts, and oh, this is my favorite part because it just means we finally get to enjoy the space. My goal with this bathroom was to make it feel larger than life and a breath of fresh air, and I feel like my dad and I executed it even though it wasn't the weekend makeover that we thought it was going to be. I hope that you guys enjoyed this bathroom makeover. I am insanely grateful to Home Depot for agreeing to partner up and give back to my parents and just give my dad and I a project to work on together, because he taught me everything that I know, and now I have this career because of him. And I don't know, it's just really fun to be able to do a transformation with him. And I just love you, Dad. I love you so much, and I love you, Home Depot, because wow, you just gave us such a moment. Thank you. Okay, I'm done being mushy, but seriously, I hope you guys enjoyed this entire roller coaster of a bathroom makeover. Be sure to comment down below what you liked, what you didn't, what you would do differently, what DIYs would you implement, how would you decorate. Remember, sharing is caring, and you're bound to inspire one of the people reading